So we will call the meeting to order. We'll start with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mayor Minnie,
Here.
Keel,
Here.
Monahan,
Here.
O'Hara,
Here.
Randall, Jones,
Here.
and Brenneman is absent with notice.
Alright. Is there a motion to approve the agenda or any additions?
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from October 6, 2020?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained?
I'll let the mayor take over.
There is a speaker button,
Alright,
you see it?
Mr. Brennan?
I'm here.
You're here. Alright. We are at approving bills submitted for payment. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the bills. Submit.
Second.
Randall? Discussion? Hearing none? That will vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. Randall?
Yes.
And Brennan?
Yes.
Alright, at this point, we'll move to public input on any non-agenda items. Now, any items anybody would like to speak about that, from the public? Have a good chance.
Thanks, Eric Kunzweiler, president of the Hartford Area Softball Association, West Central Softball. I have two other board members with me, Ron Conkling and Chad Luckies. Here just to talk about that box you have sitting there on your desk.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to open it. In 2019, which is last year, Hartford Area Softball Board came up with an award called the Larry Masterson Heart of the Program Award. Larry Masterson's a local Hartford, rural Hartford resident. He's done a lot for softball, girls fast pitch softball. The last several years, he has an indoor facility he allows everybody to use for free, which really puts us above and beyond other people in the state, and that's why we won 5 state championships in a row. One of the reasons. So this award, named after Larry, exemplifies the significant contributions given to area youth, enhancing their opportunities to enjoy participation in the sport of softball. Fast pitch softball in Hartford has grown tremendously in the past 5 years, up over 200% from 5 years ago. This past season, even with the pandemic going on, we brought in a record 159 games into Hartford. That's including the tournament, Jamboree tournament. HASA recognizes the significant contributions and partnership we have to ensure field preparation maintenance is maintained to accommodate area youth. Whether we needed a batting cage put up, scoreboards worked on, we got a new fence that was installed this year, dragging every day for us. Coordination of the Jamborees tournament, which is a lot of work. We'd like to award the Larry Masterson Heart of the Program Award to the Parks Department for the City of Hartford.
And Terry, I'd like you to come forward. Craig and I had a conversation about this last night, and come on up, Terry. Terry's done the heart of the work out there. He's done he's the one who's poured his heart and soul into everything that happens, and making sure everything's on track and everything happens the way that it needs to happen. And with that, we want to make sure we present this to Terry. Terry, we appreciate everything you've been doing with that.
Thank you. And I just kind of coordinate a lot of this. A lot of this is the summer help that we have and stuff, mowing, the kids and stuff that help out, dragging the diamonds and stuff, and keeping the garbage cans clean and stuff, so it isn't just mine. And there's what the class goes in it, and council, and the whole city of Hartford and stuff, what they do for softball is just amazing. Over the years, from my father-in-law starting this in '62 to now, what the program is doing for the city of Hartford. 150 games in this community, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And I kind of watch it, and it's amazing. This year alone, the people that are sitting around at the ball games, no matter if it's one game or 3 games over at the park, the amount of people that are coming to this community just to play some softball and stuff. So, thank you.
That's yours, Terry. That's yours. I'm gonna say the whole lot. Congratulations. Thank you. And thank you to the Softball Association. That's quite an award. That's awesome.
Thank you.
It's a really cool thing you guys have put together. An amazing program that you have. Hartford's really known for its softball. We appreciate that.
Thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Craig, for running that whole situation and making sure everything happens. You know, that came up in a conversation since last night even, and people have openly said, gosh, everything from our parks to our fields to everywhere, the city staff, your team, just go above and beyond. There's just, something needs to be done, you guys get it done, so.
Try to. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Any other non-agenda items, public comments? All right, we move on. All right, we've got under applications, agreements, and hearings, we got second reading of ordinance number 700, amend lands included within the rural service district. No changes since first reading?
No changes, and it's, like I said, then we annex to the east, it just brings that property in as a rural service district. Agreed upon.
Ordinance 700 as presented. Second.
Discussion. Vote. Randall?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Brenneman?
Yes.
All right, under the visitors section, we have Jim Feeney from CCOG, an update on the NPL 145 long range. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you. I'm Jim Feeney. I'm a transportation planner with the Southeastern Council of Governments, and here to present an overview of our process of adopting the long-range transportation plan. Federal highway requires that urban areas with more than 50,000 in population have a metropolitan planning area, planning organization. The green border is the Sioux Falls MPO, Hartford, Brooks, Brandon, T, Harrisburg, as well as the city of Sioux Falls, and the 2 counties, Lincoln and Minnehaha County, have members on our governing body, and that's the structure there. Another one of those federal requirements is periodically to adopt a 25-year long-range transportation plan. And that's what we're in the middle of and have been working on for more than a year. And wrapping it up next month at some meeting, so out giving an overview to some of the member entities. Again, it complements what you do with the capital improvement plan, what cities and counties do on other planning, their master plans, and so on and so forth. But we're looking at 25-year planning horizon. We're looking at multimodal, so aviation, along with roadway, along with transit, freight, bicycle, pedestrian, and there's, of course, federal money coming for this. There's some other federal requirements. Again, overview of the cities and counties. We also, South Dakota DOT, we work very closely with them, as well as Federal Highway, their office in Pierre. And on our various committees, there are representatives of trucking, rail, aviation, and transit. So a broad spectrum of people involved in it. Many of those groups sat on a study advisory team. Teresa also had the benefit of not quite monthly meetings, but quite a few of those, and had input into this process. So that's the structure. And again, those federal planning requirements, these are coming from, there's a FAST Act, there's a MAP 21 Act, again, some requirements, and that's why we brought a firm on board, Kimley Horn, working primarily with their office in St. Paul, who's worked all over the country with other MPOs and state DOTs in compliance with putting together these long-range plans and meeting those requirements of the various federal acts. Public engagement's a big part of this, and we started in 2019 with a market research study, and we've had a website on that has been some podcasts. We had an open house, the Downtown Public Library in Sioux Falls in January, and we had lots of other community engagement things planned, and then we didn't do those because of COVID. We continue to have the monthly study advisory team meetings virtually, some Zoom meetings, some conference calls. And so we really did go back to that market research study and lean on that for the required public input, and building on that, and Federal Highway was very accepting of that, knowing that it was a good basis to have that public input. That was in the spring of 2019. We started with that, 40 stakeholder interviews, several focus groups, and then the meat of it was some surveys, 1,025, a representative sample of residents throughout the area. Shows the cross-section there of where they're at, as well as age, sex, and so forth. So that was a very robust survey. They also surveyed 310 employers, representing more than 15,000 employees, 200 underserved populations, and then that same firm, ETC Institute, they're out of Kansas, and they had also done a survey of with Sioux area Metro transit riders fairly recently in late 2018, and that was also added to that. And the other thing is that this is the 5th one of these that have been done. So more than 20 years, again, building on a lot of information, and the perception is not necessarily positive, and whether it's a perception or higher standards or whatever, but satisfaction of those people responding, those residents responding that the transportation system in and around the Sioux Falls metropolitan area is good or excellent, has been decreasing. In 1999, 2/3 of the people thought it was good or excellent, and that number is down less than 40% in the most recent survey. So expectations are probably higher and more demands on the system. In looking at it, their priorities on all the lists, and the 3 columns are the residents, the employers, and the underserved population. And guess what? Improving east-west roads, improving north-south roads, and timing of traffic lights made everybody's list. I don't know if there's any surprise there. The residents also on their top 5 5 had interstate interchanges, new ones, and improving the existing ones, and several of those are in the works. Employers were mentioned the rural area roads that link to Sioux Falls, and the underserved mentioned public transit and specifically transportation for seniors and people with and persons with disabilities. I guess another finding out of that is that nearly 70% think that the current funding should be somewhat or much greater than what is currently being spent. A question I had them put on there was, how much do you contribute now? And that was a wide range, and probably nobody has a real good idea, from gas tax, from what they're paying with property taxes that governing bodies like yourself, how much do you put of that to transportation, car registration. I don't know if anybody's got a good idea of annually what they contribute to the system, but again, is support for some more resources there for the needs. Another big component, again, when you're looking at a 25-year planning horizon, is where's the growth going to be, where's the congestion is going to be. There's a traffic model. I know nothing about the nuts and bolts of it. The City of Sioux Falls Planning Department and a consultant there work on that. But they put together this traffic travel demand model, and that's a big part of it. There's input from all the communities as far as where their growth areas are and what they see happening. And on that crystal ball, I guess the one thing to highlight is that whether you're looking at the population, households, or employment, in all those categories over the next 25 years, the projections are that all those categories are going to increase more than 50%. So the current population in the MPO area is right at 250,000. In 2045, that's projected to be about 380,000. So more demands on the system, and that's just showing the wiring diagram of where they're looking at on daily traffic counts on major roads throughout the system. So as I say, it's a very involved process. The other new requirement was system performance report, and I'll jump over this quickly in that they've asked, since these plans are done every 5 years, so the last one was done in 2040, this wasn't a requirement, and since then, the MPOs have been required to adopt these targets, and they're in different categories: safety, fatalities, injury, those accident rates, bridge and pavement conditions, system performance having to do with delays and so forth, as well as some transit things. We have the option, and what the Sioux Falls MPO has done is we have adopted the state's targets. South Dakota DOT sets those targets statewide, and we've taken votes on through our committees to support those. So that is a section, new section, and that's being addressed. And then the guts of it is the project prioritization, 169 projects. Again, these came up from all the entities. I believe we met in February with your planning and zoning board and your engineer, and got some input, and all the cities and counties provided that information. The prioritization of these, we also annually do the TIP. And the thing about Federal Highway DOT, they love acronyms. It's, so Transportation Improvement Program, and we do those annually, and that's over 4 years, so there's projects in that category. So that first band of 5 years is primarily handled with those projects, and then the out years is where these 169 projects are from the various entities. And again, looking at those categories again from that one of those first slides on the federal legislation's priorities of efficiency, safety, security, those system performance, those type of things. There are metrics on all of those. So, looking at if this particular section of road, are there delays there? Are there higher than accidents, and we looked at different factors for rural areas and urban areas. Anyway, big spreadsheets coming through to prioritize those projects for the next 25 years. Now, the bad news is we also projected revenues over those 25 years. And looking at what is being collected now, we did inflate the revenues thinking they'd grow about 1.5%, but based on construction costs and other things, we're projecting the project costs would go up 2%. So we're losing that battle, and that's reflected in this. And it came down to, looking at those projected revenues, what's needed for O&M, and generating, the revenue available for capital needs, and then set it aside with those projects that the communities and the counties want to do. And bad news is, over those 25 years, we're more than $300 million short. And that probably doesn't any surprise to a governing body that you can't do everything you want to do. I guess a number I'd like to concentrate on in this chart is that over the next 25 years, there is revenue and for capital improvements of over $1 billion. So, something to try to handle those 380,000 people. So anyway, that's another part of, or the main part of this session, this effort, and this long-range plan is those 169 projects. And you can't really pick those out, but the green are the ones getting done, the reddish ones are the projects. Illustrative is the terminology we use, or is used, and that's the ones that need an additional funding source or are going to have to wait. And the other part of this is, obviously, still nothing is set in stone. This program will go revisit it annually through the TIPS, and the long-range plans are updated every 5 years. Federally, they're required to do that, so there are some opportunities, obviously, as priorities change. Maybe the growth in that model is in actuality is different than what was projected. And then just very quickly, some other sections in the plan that are some new efforts or haven't been in previous plans but added was emerging technology. So there's a discussion of CASE vehicles, another acronym. Connected, automated, shared, and electric vehicles. That's the catch-all is CASE, the Internet of Things. Also looking at those alternative funding opportunities, looking at what other states do as far as funding resources and so forth. Obviously, nothing's being prescribed, but just a discussion of things that might be considered. And then looking at some of those other multimodal, again, the freight, the transit, the rail, and those type of things are all, as well as the bicycle and pedestrian. So finally, that draft plan, we had a public hearing before our technical advisory committee at its meeting in September. Draft plan is on our website. It is there now for review and comment. We're in the process of making the final changes, so the final draft will be posted in about a week. And then there will be a second public hearing at the November 5th Technical Advisory Committee. And we're accepting comments through November 4th. And again, after that hearing, we'll be moving through our approval process to the governing body. And there's a couple of links there, and there's some cards that I handed out, and I've got a couple more. If anybody's dying to go to the website, they can follow through and look at those. And that's the overview of the 2045 Go Sioux Falls Long Range Transportation Plan.
One question, yes, so when you create a 2045 plan like this and you're looking through, comparing to other MSAs that are out there, do you see some of the same budget shortfalls in growing MSAs like ours? Do you compare to other MSAs, all of that?
I would be shocked if it wasn't the case, but that is specifically not something we did. I mean, it was an internal process for the priorities of the communities and counties here and how they would prioritize it. So, I do know that, for example, some of the staff we're working with, again, with Kimberly Horn, they work with Fargo and Moorhead, and, you know, the sense is that, you know, everybody's kind of on the same cycle and dealing with the same challenges.
Sure.
I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Good. All right, our next item up, we've got Larry, Mr. Coltman up here, requesting reimbursement on street oversizing costs. So, Larry, I'll have you come on up and discuss. Teresa may be able to give some background too, we've got some information in the packet, so.
Okay, yeah, I put some information in your packet. This will probably sound a little familiar for you guys that have been here since 2016. It's kind of new for you too, but basically Larry has the South Main development here in town, and back in 2015, he submitted preliminary plans for the third phase of his development to the city for review. It went through our planning and zoning board and the city council to review those plans. In those plans, the street width was a 66-foot right-of-way, normal right-of-way plan. But then when it came to the engineering drawings, the street width was oversized to 72 width. And so after he did the oversizing, he had some costs associated with that, so he came to the city and asked for reimbursement on that. And at that time, we had went back and said, well, your original plans for that phase, you know, showed originally 66, and then you took it upon yourself to oversize it, and that was denied. Well, since that time, Larry says, I know that the city at one point told me that I had to widen out that street, and I said to him, I said, you know, if you know, I checked with Mitch, see if we had any records that shown that, and with our records, engineering records, we didn't show where we required it. I said, if you have any data to support it, bring it to me. Him or his engineer couldn't find anything, but he says, you know, you kind of revisit this every few months. He says, I know that the city required this. So I said, well, let me dig up through some minutes and see what I can find. And so I went back all the way to 2004 when his original plans for the whole development were submitted to the city. And as you saw probably in the minutes that you read in your packet, there was discussion with the city council and the planning and zoning board at that time to have him oversize it. Now, in those minutes, it wasn't clear of who pays it. There's, at one council meeting, it said the city would pay the cost, but no action was ever taken or no motion was ever done to authorize that. So I basically said to Larry, you know, I'll give you guys all this information. Obviously, they didn't follow through in '04 with it, you know. It's entirely new board here, we're, you know, several years later, come to the board now, explain what he remembered, you know. I said, originally this was 2004, I wasn't here, I don't think,
I was just getting
Mitch,
started.
you were just getting started, so he's probably our best source of what happened in '04, and then, like I said, he can bring it before you.
Yeah, I
and
do
discuss it.
remember, Mitch, you were just a rookie. Was it Dave?
John was probably
John.
involved. I saw
Kind
his
of a-
name in some of the minutes.
Yeah, it was probably John, yeah. And the city wanted, okay, let's not get the right of way change in here. That's an after deal. The right of way come after. That, I don't know how that happened. Mitch might be able to explain how the right of way got changed. The right of way was set to 66 foot. And everything, the city signed off on it, the engineering signed off on it, and everything was signed off to 66 foot. I don't know how the right of way got changed. I have no idea how that got changed. But when I was here at the city council and stuff, it was, okay. The lady, one of the ladies was concerned about the weight of the trucks going down there. heavy trucks, grain trucks, this combination. So they wanted it thick, 6-inch, deeper depth, and all this, because of the heavy weight. Now you got no trucks, no through trucks down here, but anyway, but that's what they wanted. And so that's what was set in our design, and that's what the city agreed to. I mean, everything was signed off for that. All I can say, it was signed off. If they didn't want that, I know it did not say in there that, okay, it just kind of left it, we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. Well, we were never in on that, and everything went forward, and so here we are. It's a bad situation. What can I say? But we went forward. If he didn't want that, why did not it change back to where we originally, the standards of the road? So we did the work. It's like we're kind of told to do it, and now what? We get up here and oh, we did the work. Now we don't want to pay for it. You know, that's what I'm looking at.
I remember we had this discussion a couple years ago. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
last year or a couple years ago.
It was about the right of way though.
About the right away?
Yeah.
I remember your engineer.
Since I signed the right of way, means that you figured you didn't have to pay for the street. I don't know how this right of way deal come about. See, what happens is, okay, we're gonna plat this down here. Okay, I tell Eric to get it done. Eric sends it to somebody else, which Chuck Hansen did it, which he's passed away. So, the only one that really could know is Mitch, how this right of way got changed.
That's good. I can elaborate on it a little bit if you.
I don't know how, because everything gets sent to him, and then Eric sends it to Mitch so he can approve it, and then I go get it. I gotta go get it from Eric, I gotta come back here, I gotta find Teresa, I gotta find Craig, I gotta go back to Sioux Falls, visit Mitch, then I gotta go to the courthouse, 3 spots in the courthouse. I don't read it over, I just trust is right. So that's all I know about the right of way change. That's all I know about that, so. I'm just telling you what I know. But this is, that right of way change is an after deal than,
But the only invoice we have in front of us is for the right of way.
Yeah, so,
that's not for the right of, the invoice in front of you is probably for the oversight.
this is the one that you originally gave me.
We're looking at the invoice from August 10th.
That's the original one you gave me, and that's what I put in their packet back in.
Okay, this is, I don't want this in here. Okay, I'm not billing for this. How about the other one? The one for the oversize. You do have one for that too. This
Is that the
for
one you gave to
right-
Rhonda, just,
I don't think
That just
I,
that
had
just
that
showed a
one.
lot of,
There was, Eric had
Finance
one, it
charges.
was very detailed.
I've never gotten a
Yeah, I give it to you at one time.
I have that one, and I have one very similar to that with finance charges on it.
No,
You
there
gave me
is,
several of them.
I could get that.
If we had that information, Larry, that detail, when we go back and look in our minutes from 2004,
See, this was,
that's the only record we have of discussion of widening that street. And to your point, I would argue the same thing. By design, I only needed a 33-foot wide street. And because of the traffic concerns presented off of Nicholson to downtown on Main, we want a wider street there. And I think the city has worked with other developers to do that, and absorb the difference in pricing. And if those facts were presented to us, then we could have a better discussion about the cost, because we don't have the right information in front of us.
Do you know what that cost is? I mean, just offhand?
I don't know. Eric gave it, and I did bring that here at one time.
Because I have several with that amount with finance.
This
charges
one
added
here
to them.
was, this one here was before that one. Because
That was
we
the
didn't have
very
the street
first
done.
one
We
you
didn't
gave
have
me.
the street done yet.
Yeah,
We didn't have the second, or the last coat on at that time. So I didn't know how to bill it. So this is, here was way before the other one.
like I said, I have several here that start with that figure and have just finance charges. They're just statements added to it, but now I got,
Mitch, you could probably get that from Eric.
Yeah, I could sure request it, and maybe you could just have Eric forward it to
That
us.
would,
But normally, that's what we would like to see. If there's a request for oversizing, we'd like to see how much is the asphalt quantity, how much is, that's really.
he's got
part
it.
of
Everything's
Gravel.
itemized out. Everything
Yeah.
is totally itemized out. If you could do that, Mitch, I'd appreciate it. Just all you gotta do is call Eric, and I'm sure he has it.
Yep.
I might have it in my file, but I'm not as good a bookkeeper as, so.
Yeah, to that point, there's minutes that reflect there were some requests of garden development for water lines and some oversize some things and plan for some future expansion. There was an established price for that, and then there was approval of that and payment made. So if we had requested that at Knapp's Landing, if they oversized their east-west corridor to accommodate future traffic loads, I would think that's a different conversation than the information that we have in front of us.
But this here, Bill, Teresa, this is for just the right-of-way change. This is not for the oversize. So this here is totally wrong.
It's out of place. Yep, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just letting you know that this is,
Okay.
But-
then I need that.
Mitch, you
bill.
can get that from Eric,
Yep.
if you would, please.
Yep.
And then we can go from there. If you wanna visit with me again, Tracy can let me know.
Okay, it sounds like council's open to it.
I would entertain seeing this on the agenda for a future council meeting if we had different information.
But Mitchell,
And basically, the only additional information is that invoice that we need to get.
Yep, that
Yeah,
invoice,
that-
yep,
that invoice, yeah.
that would speak to the cost. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand that
Yeah.
to put a road in costs so much a foot if it's 33 feet wide, if it's
Yeah.
34, however wide it is, it costs.
see, this is 8
more
foot wide,
8
8 foot wider,
Right, and I understand
and
that
then
we
the
have
asphalt is,
documentation that there's a request for that,
asphalt 6 inches thick.
you know.
And it is 6 inches thick too,
Yeah.
because,
So they must have taken the same design standard for Mickelson and decided that they needed it to go north on South Main.
no, we were in before Mickelson. This was decided before Mickelson ever started.
Yeah, Mickelson was still gravel.
That's right, it was still gravel on that side, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's just that they were thinking for the future that it was grain trucks,
Right,
because the elevator right there.
Yeah.
And that was before they built the new part of the elevator.
yeah. And if it was gravel, then they would pound down the gravel and not down the asphalt.
That is what, so,
Yeah.
that's why they had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to elaborate on the right of ways of the road, because if you go back as far as 2004, we had those plans that were approved then. And I think the thought process, and now seeing the minutes, it kind of brings a lot more clarity to us, because there was a conversation between council and planning and zoning, and that's how that street got upsized. But I think part of the idea too was Main Street that they were connecting to was that width, and they wanted to continue that through to Mickelson. The right of way is widening that main avenue, it's 72 foot wide, and on that 2004 plan, it was agreed for that right of way to be 72 feet all the way to Mickelson. So that's where the 72 feet came from.
Okay.
So,
I don't know.
yeah.
All I know is it was 66 foot, and then when I went to put my sidewalks in, that's how I figured it found
Yeah.
out, because transformers are in the way.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a little bit of history on that, but if you, I'll reach out to Eric and get the cost evaluation that he's done, and we
Yeah.
can review that and then present it to you, give you a recommendation for the next meeting.
Sounds like a valid.
Valid place to jump off from, yeah.
So,
All right.
okay.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, have a good evening.
You too.
All right, we move to reports. That's the county sheriff's report. Deputy Carlos.
Hey, how you folks doing today?
Hello.
Sorry for not being here last meeting, celebrating my second anniversary with my wife, so thank you for allowing me to, thank you for being excused from that. I'm a little, totally forgot my cell phone today, like I had like my notes on it and stuff, so. I had a nice little speech that I typed out, I'm gonna really rock this one today. Here we are. So I'm not gonna bore you with just reading out the September kind of numbers that we have there. It's in front of you guys. So the one thing that was really noticeable to me is that our calls per day increased. We're averaging about 8, now we're at 11 calls per day. That's probably due to with, Deputy Smith, as the SRO, is doing a lot of traffic during the school hours, and he's really kicking butt. And when I look at the nighttime deputies, some of them, not all of them, are actually doing a lot of self-generated work of suspicious vehicles or suspicious subjects that they're going out with and talking with them. And also, their traffic stops have increased as well too. So it's been pretty cool to see from the nighttime guys of kind of stepping up their game a bit. And when you're looking at the citations, we have increased our cites by 17. I can't remember what the numbers were, but I think that's a really good number that's going up. Along with the written warnings and verbal warnings are increasing, so that self-generated activity by those guys is quite really good to see. Over the course of me being on patrol, a lot of suggestions of where I should be going or really hitting. So I've been really watching Opal with that new development that's been going on there. Mickelson, I've been really sitting on Mickelson doing a lot of traffic there, and then obviously Highway 38. I've seen people ripping through 55 miles an hour just at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and so just being present, and there are people that are oblivious to all the signs that we have, and I'm like, wait, there's like 6 signs. Like, how much is it? So generally the out-of-towners. Yeah, exactly. Well, along with the lines of where to patrol for traffic-wise, just reach out to me. I'm happy to see where to go if it's possible. I've been having a hard time with Vandermark, like where to sit, where a good spot to sit, because it's really flat and you can see me miles away. I got a new patrol car, by the way, so like you don't have that big bulky siren, or not siren, but the light bar up top. Now it's really thin and you can't really tell. And a lot of people don't really recognize me until they pass by and then they hit the brakes, like, oh, that was a deputy. So that's been a really nice feature that.
Don't worry about Vandermark right now.
I think it's okay though if people see you, because it still slows that traffic down.
Yeah.
So if you are obvious out there, they're gonna see you and go, oh yeah,
Can't keep
maybe
going.
what's my speed? So I
Exactly.
think it's okay that they see you. It's not that you have to feel like you have to hide.
So I'd rather be in plain sight, but just like that light bar is really, you're like, oh, there he is, I'm gonna slow it down 100 yards or so. And,
I wish Vandermark was 25, so that's my cruise.
yeah.
That's a different story.
Some cool things are going on. Been working with Gabe, working with our nighttime deputies and our weekend deputies to do another coffee with the cops sort of thing. Sent out an email this week from those gentlemen if they want to improve, and I've got 3 or 4 guys that are willing to do it. So we're going to do another coffee with the cop virtual here, probably in November is probably a good date that we were able to get that going on. I'm planning on doing the trunk or treat at the middle school this Halloween. And then I believe there is another event that's happening with the high school as well too, where they're doing a break up the community with the Trojan athletes. So I'm going to participate with that and help break up some leaves out in our community. And at that point, are there any questions, or have you guys heard anything from your, people of like where to patrol and such, or if there's a speed issue or suspicious people sort of a thing? If, we'll take questions now.
They must be doing it, I haven't heard a rumble about, traffic stops or anything like that, so they must be doing it in a very nice way to not upset folks. Because a couple of years ago, that's all we heard about was traffic stops, and you're increasing traffic stops, writing more citations, and it's crickets.
Right. Because we were getting calls after people were getting stopped about the, what's a good word here? Temperament?
Temperament, yeah.
Demeanor of the arresting officer. We were getting those a little bit, and those are tough calls. I mean, to the point I had to tell a couple people, were you speeding? Well, yeah, then what are, what?
But it does make such a difference, the people skills and the
Yeah.
relation, being able to relate to the people you're pulling over and just.
Yeah, just as the atmosphere that we're in right now with law enforcement, we are people and we want to treat people like people.
Yeah.
And we also want that back, not in like, I demand to be treated like a person, but just if you, what Jesus said, treat others the way that you want to be treated, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So, and I try to do that with every traffic stop. Every person that I interact with is to treat them how I want to be treated, or treat them as if they're like my parents or my brother and sister.
I don't tell our neighbors to tip them off, but I do tell them that I've requested that you sit on our street.
Yeah.
I want them to, I want them to know that it's not just, I tell them, I ask you to sit out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you had gotten a request, but I got requests for.
Yeah.
Just sit on Nicholson from.
And I think I told you that the kids now in our neighborhood have figured out to go to school that way. So they come out of Patrick and they head toward 38 and come around the back way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll guarantee you that they're not going 30. I'll just guarantee you they're not going 30.
25?
Yes, they're like Travis, they got their cruise set at 25.
Yeah.
I doubt that, I'm just saying, but that's early in the morning, and I don't know with your shift change and stuff, if you're out here in time, but I know that, because I see them leaving. Them and the black pickup that lives on the street over from me, he leaves town really fast.
I have,
Ford, Jackrabbit emblem on it.
I've
I can get you the number if you need it.
Speeding on our road,
Okay. Okay.
between like Fider and Highway 38, that's shot, they fly down there a lot,
Yeah,
so.
so,
No, things have been
Yeah.
very good.
yeah,
We appreciate all of that. And it's good that we're just talking mainly about traffic things. I mean, there's obviously more
Yeah.
serious items in here, but
Yeah.
they've all been handled well. I
Yeah.
like it that your team's been following up on suspicious subjects, just strange things going on. That's,
Yeah.
if you can nip that before things start to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. Yeah. No,
And
it's
when did we take the stop signs down in Fider?
2 years ago.
I had somebody ask me the other day, how long have those stop signs been gone on Fider? And I was thinking, and it's been at least 2 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, they must not have stopped before.
Holy, they never must have stopped at them. They just noticed that they're gone. Wow.
My neighbor pulled out in front of me on Vanmark today, coming off the knife, thinking I had to stop on Vanmark.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I think it's,
she was coming off the knife from the west, turning north. Stops, looks at me, pulls out in front of me.
You bet, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. We'll expect your notes next time.
Yeah. Cell phone, nice, well-written speech.
That was great. That was a pretty good off the cuff. I think we'll give you that.
All right, we got the fire department report. Chief?
Well, I have notes, I'm all over with my members. Well, good evening, kind of a recap of September. Call volume still continues to be there, 32 total calls, 19 of those in Hartford.
Training side, we ended up doubling up on our EMS training in September to make up for April. That was postponed due to COVID. So we had a long training, a lot of topics covered, from anaphylaxis, infectious diseases and pediatrics, vaccinations for EMS personnel, trauma and triage standards, treatment for central nervous system injuries, and hemorrhage and bleeding control. So a lot of topics. On the EMS side, all our EMS staff, they have to recertify every 2 years. And the recertification has changed over the last couple of years. It used to be, hey, you need 24 hours, you need 48 hours, and big bucket topics. Now, there are very specific topics we have to cover for each recertification period. So that's why we just didn't skip that training, that we needed to get it in to ensure the training, and we're providing the training hours. Fire training, we worked on various down firefighter skill stations and drills to make sure we're taking care of our own there. Also had fire prevention week going on in early October. We did some training at the elementary and middle schools to help support education there. And then in September, we had 5 people attend a critical incident stress management class to become facilitators in that. And that took place out in that Rapid City area. It was a 2-day class. Instructor was a psychologist out of Missouri that specializes in that sort of thing. So again, trying to grow that skill set in the region here. So
That's
that's
great.
what
I'm
we've
glad
been
you guys
doing.
are doing that. That's, yeah, it's a critical part of everything you guys handle, so thank you. That's good.
Continue to have some really traumatic
Yes.
things happen in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's hard on everybody, the law enforcement and the fire and rescue.
Yeah, the severity of the calls hasn't changed, whether it's large fires, traumatic accidents, other traumatic things, you know, in home, you know, it continues, there's no slowing.
And this was kind of nice, you gave a heads up on the fire trucks were gonna be out for the soccer team, so people weren't on Hartford Happening saying, where's the fire?
Yeah, we've got that feedback after the fact, hey, what's going on? One of our firefighter wives threw it out there before.
That was really good, I see that, I
Soccer
thought,
teams.
oh, that's good, that should stop a lot of the.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. All right, any questions?
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Brian.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll move to city engineer report. Mitch.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give you an update on 9th Street, kind of where we're at. I think Teresa should have forwarded you some correspondence that came out after the report. We're still working with the contractor as far as what to do with the asphalt out there. We've since rejected it since I was here last time, and still working through that with them. So we're hopeful that by the next meeting we can have a proposal from them of any corrective action or deduct or whatever they might choose to, present to us, I guess, at this point. So we'll keep you in the know what happens there. You have with that correspondence just our inspection that we conducted. We did do a substantial inspection. There's a punch list attached with that, so you can see any items that we noted out there. We have been talking to the contractor about getting these items, wrapped up as soon as you can. There's a few of them that might be getting cold enough here that you might have to wait till next spring, but all the cleaning and all those sorts of things you can do down here. There might be some concrete repair items that might end up waiting till next spring. We don't have an issue with it, I don't think so. Just to talk a little bit, since I was here last meeting, we rejected the area that they paved in the rain those couple of days. We've since done some density reports on the entire length of the roadway. And we came back with some densities that were less than the specified densities. Specified density is 92%. We had some that were below that. So we're working through that with them as well as part of this. It's not all that uncommon to have a failed density test here and there, but just means that we kind of have one issue out there already. We're just making sure that we get that issue addressed as well.
Is that density test, is that anything related to the weather at the time, or is it just application?
It's usually has probably more to do with just their practices, you know, when they're rolling asphalt, there's a certain timing that they have to hit. When they roll it into place, it's gotta be at least a certain temperature, they gotta go over it 3 or 4 times to roll it into place. There's specs on how fast to roll it, so there's a lot of different things that could cause it, I guess. Could be just the location that we chose, in the asphalt itself. I've seen where you can test that area and drill just over here and have a passing test, so it can be kind of variable that way. But I've been talking to City of Sioux Falls too, just their staff, their engineering staff, to see how they approach these types of situations as well. So I'm getting some information from them too to help.
What was that geotech expense? Is that in our bill or how?
So you guys are contracted with geotech to do the quality control and the testing on the project. So
It's in there.
yeah, right now that's coming through to you guys directly.
Okay. I was just curious. I seen that and I thought, I wonder how that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we always like to retain them so we know they're working for us and not
Conflict of interest.
right.
So you're holding this, there's a
Yeah.
substantial portion.
We're withholding payment this time until we can get it resolved.
Right, okay.
Instead of about 350,000.
Did they have a deadline when they gotta get an answer back to you, or?
We asked them to get back to us, in a couple of weeks, I think, from when this letter went out. But we've been talking to Jeff directly.
Okay.
He's working on something, so.
All right.
That's just the second lift, right? First lift seems to be adequate.
And actually, the failing tests were actually on the bottom.
They are on the bottom. That's
And
nice.
in the test that we did on the area where it rained, we didn't see any issue with that. The densities all passed. And what we were really worried about is if the cores came apart, those lifts, and they didn't notice anything abnormal with those cores. It's actually on the bottom lift is where they had some of these low densities. So, and I don't think the weather played into that, so, because those were good days that they were having that.
Yeah.
So, density tests, in my experience, can just be kind of very. Okay, so hopefully next meeting we have more information for you on that, we can move forward. I didn't have anything else in my report that I want to touch on, but we do have a request from the Next Landing people for an extension. I don't know if you saw that letter in the packet as well. They sent us a request to extend putting the top lift on their first phase. It was by their agreement that they had, it was due this summer. They're asking to extend that into next year. We don't see any issues with that and recommend approval.
My understanding it's, contractor related, basically, just to get somebody there nearly possible at this point.
The way the weather looks, they could be done putting asphalt down.
Right.
Yeah, at this point.
Right.
Bad idea to do it.
We did do an inspection out there as well.
Yeah.
So we inspected all the curb and gutter, all the asphalt from the surface and noted those areas and gave them a list of things to address, before that top lift goes down, so I'm sure they'll get going on that. One thing about waiting with that first phase is they have a second phase that is also in pretty much the same state as the first phase, so they'll be able to do that top lift all in one seam, so you won't have as many hole joints, which is something of a benefit too.
Is the city gonna be plowing that, Craig, this winter?
Yeah, we do to a certain extent, because if they've got lots that they'd like to sell, we run up there just to make sure it's open for.
Cause if the curb's exposed
We'll
2
stay,
inches and the manholes are exposed 2 inches.
well, the manholes are flush right now with the
Right now
bottom
they're
lift,
flush.
and the boxes are too. So they won't be a factor for us. The curb line, we'll just stay away from the curb line, gutter line, just so we won't. Sometimes they'll jump up and over it, and sometimes you chip it, when it's like that, but we try to stay away from it, because since nobody's living on that area except for the cul-de-sac area, but, we'll stay away from it.
So as far as the road surface,
We
everything
should
is
go.
smooth.
Yeah, we plowed last year, they like that fine, so.
And the 1-year extension would be to the end of the deadline that was set before, is that correct?
Yeah. I don't know, I didn't look when they executed that agreement, but the agreement stays 2 years. I don't know if you know offhand, Teresa.
I would guess it was in September when the asphalt was first done.
365-day extension.
Probably gonna take us to the fall of next year, is where that would be.
Potentially,
In there.
yeah, if it was signed in the spring, it would take in the spring, but to me, we have no issue if they waited until midsummer, as long as it's done next construction season.
We need a motion for that. I make a motion that we grant the 1-year extension to Maps Landing for second lift of their asphalt in the development.
Second. Yeah, if it came up that it was, say, really early for some reason, obviously we won't have to come in and.
I know it
push
wasn't
out
there,
another
it
6
was
months or
not
something.
until July, so there had to been after that.
Yes, yeah.
I could look and see what was there.
Alright, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion or questions? Alright, we'll vote. O'Hara?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
And Brennan?
Yes.
Good.
Alright,
Thank you.
yep, thank you, Mitch.
Thanks, Mitch.
Alright, move over to Craig's report, Public Works.
The only thing I got really to change in my report is the EMRs are done and sent in for the month. And the bathrooms, we will be winterizing them tomorrow and getting them shut down. The way the weather's looking, we don't need to bring pipes, so we're gonna shut them down early this year. That's only there. And then, I did have on the agenda for the purchase, we've got budget money set aside for a plow, a 2-way plow for one of the trucks we bought, and then also a sander. The sander's at least 90 days out, that's what they're saying, I think it might be longer than that. The plow is probably close to that, maybe 30 days to 60 days on that. So I guess I'd like to get permission to purchase the sander and or at least order the sander and the plow to be bought in January and hopefully delivered by then, so, or whenever it gets delivered. The prices that I did, so the sander that we want to go with is that Highway brand. It's the same ones we got now in the other truck. They are a very good sander, stainless steel. Sanitation Products is the only one in the area that can sell them. They're exclusive with Highway products. Same thing with the plow. It's a Falls plow, and that's the same as the other plow we got in the other truck. And Falls plows are pretty much mostly what you see on any trucks on the or highways and that stuff. The county uses them, state uses them. Everything we got's Falls plows except for the payloader's got a Holmes on it. But I tried to get prices from, when I Googled Falls plow, dealers in the area, they gave me Butler, RDO, and Sanitation Products, and then Sheehan's. So I got a hold of Butler and I got a hold of RDO to get prices from them. They both called me today, and Sanitation Products has got the exclusive for truck plows for Falls plows. So unless we go out of state to buy them, we're with Sanitation Products. And we bought a lot of stuff through them. We've always had good luck with them. The sweeper's been through them. The other truck we got through them follows Sanders. So. But that's why I only got the one quote, the one same one I had from before. So, the both items.
And you might have just mentioned that my understanding is, yep, we budgeted for this in 2021.
Yep.
We wouldn't have payment till 2021, but
Yep.
in order, they're 90 days out.
Yep. So we wouldn't be, did be out of next year's budget, which is part of his plan, so. Yep.
Can we do this as one or two?
Either way,
I make a motion that we approve, purchase of the reversible plow for $9,972.50 and the sander for $17,604, be paid out of 2021, street funds.
Second.
Second.
Is that, how much do we budget?
We had 11,000, I think it was for the, or 12,000 for the plow. We were looking at going with a tip cylinder on it, but we decided that we probably would never use it, so that was a $1,000 add-on by itself. So, so we had 12,000 budgeted for the plow and 18,000 for the sander. I budgeted just a little bit over on them, just because of 6 months later, steel could be skyrocketing.
So we're gonna be covered though for what we budgeted?
We're below budget, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. I'm always below budget.
Yeah. You throw a big enough number at it.
27 years.
Wow, that's experience talking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it looks like you left about $300 and some on this end. Sure you don't need something else? Extra spinner blade or something? Great. Huh?
All right, any other discussion? All right, we'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Randall?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
And Brenneman.
Yeah.
And that's all I have, unless somebody has something for me. And I did get a hold of Bob on that contract.
That was the only thing. Got in my truck this morning and looked at the curb to the west of me and I thought, that's gonna end up in Mr. Park's front yard. If the snowplow hits it, with all that concrete rubble. There's only one of them, John Parks.
Yeah, I hope it'll be messed up. Yeah, I did.
Yes, I know.
Did he get his carriage walk board before it got cold?
All right, we're gonna keep moving. We've got finance officer report. Karen, any additions or changes or?
No, no changes. I just wanted to point out the attendance chart. If you guys could look over that before the end of the month. If I've missed a meeting or have anything wrong, let me know on that. I have accounted for the RFQ review meeting next week, and I'll put in the numbers for tonight, so. Other than that, we're good.
Okay, any questions for Karen? Seeing none, we'll move to Teresa's report.
Okay. Really no changes to that, just a reminder about the RFQ meeting. It is Thursday, actually, this Thursday at 7 o'clock here. Get your rating sheets to me by tomorrow, Thursday morning at the latest. If you could, so I can combine them all, we can have a master list, so. Otherwise, just want to remind you guys, our next council meeting is Wednesday. Remember, we moved it for the election, so it'll be Wednesday the 4th. And then I want to throw out there, just, I touched base with Jeremy on this, if you guys have any thoughts on the city Christmas party, or whether we should have one or not in light of the coronavirus and things ramping up with it. I kind of had Craig ask his guys and kind of asked the city staff in there. I mean, nobody on city staff would be upset if we didn't have, I mean, mad if you guys didn't, so far when we understand what's going out. Expressed to Jeremy, I have a little concerns of having all the staff in one place and, heaven forbid, somebody does pass it around, I don't want my whole staff down in quarantine for 10 days, so it is kind of a little concern. Wanted to get your thoughts and feelings, because if we are gonna do something, we probably need to look at probably a bigger venue than we had last time. I don't know what we would do, or, we'd have to start trying to make some plans or arrangements, so I guess what are your thoughts? Or if you wanna think about it a little bit more and.
One of the things that came to mind for me was, it might be a nice even change of pace if we postpone the 2020 Christmas party to early summer, late spring. And if there's still issues like that going on, which most likely there may very well, we can do something outdoors, patio,
Picnic.
something a little bit different. But other than that, I didn't have, and we can go into, like Teresa and I talked about, going into a bigger venue and have it more spaced out, but my fear is if I, you kind of see how that happens and things start to spread. I want to make sure we're being responsible is the main thing.
I think probably optically too, it looks good, better to, I have such mixed feelings about this whole thing, so that's why I'm stuttering. But anyway, I think optically it looks probably better to the public as well.
I'd say,
What do y'all think?
I'd say we put it off till spring.
Holy cow, that's a guy that never wants to miss a party.
I know, and I'll tell you what, it took me a lot, I had to dig deep inside to say that. I'm just telling you, that was,
That was weighted, that was a very weighted statement.
Well,
I like Jeremy's idea of doing, because if we do it outside, then it's a new point, so.
yeah, like that, I think it'd probably be, at this point, it'd be the responsible thing to do, and, as far as public perception, like you said, I think, I just don't wanna jeopardize the whole city staff, shut the city down for a while for Christmas party, and like I said, we can look in spring, see how the situation is, we can do something then, or maybe an outdoor venue, so. Okay. Okay.
I think we should continue to talk a little bit about some of the things we do for city staff at that point, whether that gets put off or if that, like for any of the bonuses and things like that we do at that time. It may still be the best time to do it right around that Christmas and holiday season, even without a party. Maybe feel that out, think about that a little bit as to whether we do that yet this year or if we wait and do that in the spring.
Well, why don't you guys think about that a little bit, and we can kind of readdress that once we get to it, so. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, otherwise, I didn't have any other additions to my report or changes.
Any questions for Teresa? All right, we'll move to old business. We've got discuss advertising at the Swenson Sports Complex.
So at our last meeting, I had brought up that I had been approached by Matt Evans as far as the advertising agreement we drafted. They really want some clarification on, what entities could advertise there, is it, we just allow no alcohol, or is it just all bars and restaurants that sell alcohol? I did after that and then we decided we'd talk about it further at this meeting. After that meeting, I did email Matt Evans and tell him it's gonna be on this agenda, and when I sent out the agenda, I sent it to him as well on Friday, so I got no response. The woman, you don't see him here, so I don't know if you wanna put him off to another meeting or discuss it. I told him we would like either him or representation from the committee.
I'd second that.
To our next meeting.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second to the table? No discussion on the table, we'll vote. Fine.
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hare? Yes. Randall?
Yes.
And Vernon?
Sorry, I just get sicker.
All right, new business, we've got review and approve the surplus property list.
So in your packet is a few things that the city no longer needs or uses or is damaged, and that I'd like council to consider surplusing. We had a drinking fountain in the main park that we believe was knocked over probably by some kids or something and pushed over and damaged that. Craig's gonna have a different one made or welded up, it'll be more sturdier to put in there.
I think lasted 50 years.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
And it's kind of a climbing
Well, this next one makes
thing
sense.
anyway, they like to climb on it. The one we've got by the one shelter, we actually made ourselves, and I think we'll do similar with that, so that we won't be, with the COVID stuff and all that now, the drinking fountains have been shut down, so we'll just have self-turning or turning ones that'll springboard back, like fill water jugs, stuff like that. We'll do that, but so we'll figure something out to replace it.
so that, like I said, that's damaged, so we'll probably just scrap that, you know. And then we have the 2 sanders that, you know, came with the 2 dump trucks that we bought from Minnesota that we're replacing now the sanders in it, so those we don't need. We could possibly sell or donate to another government entity with those. Same thing with the sander. We have an old sander, well, it's not the same thing as far as getting rid of it. We have an old sander that was on the 94 dump truck that is rusted and full of holes, and that just needs to be scrapped too. It's pretty much unusable.
Yeah, we got a county, Han County actually might be interested for parts, so that'd be something for them. The plow, that's off that Sterling too, not Sterling, the old Ford truck, and we haven't used it in 2 years, 3 years. The other trucks have got them. We will be keeping one of the plows back after even switching this, putting the 2-way on, we will keep one back, so we'll have one complete extra plow, so if we do tear one apart. There's Ron Hoftizer, street superintendent from Miller, mentioned to me a while ago that he was looking for one, so I contacted him and told him we'd be surplusing this out maybe, I said, so he would be interested in that, whether we give it to him or whatever. Get a rep for that. I can't keep it. Oh, and then the underbelly on the plows, this is the one that was on that 2000 survey, we took it off right away, because we didn't think we'd use them. We are gonna leave one of the underbellies on the new trucks we just bought, along with one of the wings, and try it and see if it's something that we'd even be interested in. If we do, we still got the other wing and the other underbelly off the other trucks, we'll still be keeping them back. This is the one that, like I said, is off. We took it off when we bought that 2000, probably about 5 years ago, whatever it was, 6 years ago. So. And there might be, the county might be interested in the underbelly, because they run a lot of them. I'll check with them and see if they're interested in what they, see if they give us anything for it or whatever. The 2 sanders, I think the only people that'd be interested in those is maybe some county in Minnesota. They're about, I seen the price on them, they're about 3,000 to 4,000 brand new on a state bid I seen on internet. So I don't know if we get a little bit on them. I'll do some checking around once we, if we surplus them, I'll do some checking around and see what we can get for, if we can sell some of this stuff, it'd be great. If we can't, we'll go from there, so.
Alright, do we have any motions on the surplus?
Motion to approve surplus property list as presented.
Second. Discussion? Randall?
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yep.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Brown?
Yeah. Do you want Teresa and myself just to use our own judgment on get rid of them, or do you want us to come back to you if we've got any offers on this?
As far as donating or selling to other governments.
I'd say use your
Discretion.
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 Yep.
Come back with a report where it went, maybe, just so we know.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody asks. Yes.
Give it to some county in case we need to get out of jail free card.
That's how it works.
Could happen. Miller, Han County, I got a lot of relatives out there.
I was about a month away from getting a sander for stainless steel sander, dirt cheap from Vermillion.
Oh.
They mentioned they had one as before we bought the trucks and didn't know what we were, if we didn't buy a truck that this year, whatever, last year. And It got mentioned at one of our board, or one of our meetings, and he goes, anybody want it? Dirt cheap, and I think they gave it away for like $500, and it was pretty good shape.
Mhm.
I went to another county.
All right, hopefully we have anything under
I
correspondence.
do have one thing, I just wanted to
Oh, yes.
Paul Clark, our building inspector, the South Dakota Municipal League, awarded him with the Code Enforcement Award for the year, so. They presented it, of course, at Brandon, he's their full-time employee, he got it, but just wanted to make note of that he got the South Dakota Municipal League Code Enforcement Award, so, for his job well done, so.
Nice.
Got that today, Brandon sent it over to me, so.
Sent it over.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Thanks, Paul. All right, if not, we're looking for a motion to go into executive session for legal and personnel.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second, we'll vote.
See you guys.
Yeah, thanks. We'll quick vote, Ryan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Yes. O'Hara? Yes. Randall?
Yes.
And Brennan.
Congratulations, Derek.
All right. Thank you.
Motion to terminate economic development director's position effective October 21st.
Got the name there.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
That motion on the word position in it?
Huh? I'll put to terminate the chamber and economic, I'll put his title in his name.
He did say the name, so.
The CED, Gabe Steinmeier.
Any other discussion?
Do we have to turn that back on?
It is
She
on.
did.
Turn it back on? Okay.
All right, we'll vote. O'Hara?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Randall?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Brennan.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Vote. Randall?
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Brennan.